What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Smart Flip, where we bring on phone flippers and people like that. I still got to get a good tagline for this, but that being said, welcome to the Smart Flip. My co-host Matt Shirley with us, and then today, guys, we also have um, we have Isaac Susi. Isaac is 21 years old, and he is absolutely crushing it in the phone flipping space. And I want to bring Isaac on because worked with Isaac for a while now. Really proud of what he's done, and I think he has some really good like nuggets that he can impart to many of the people that are probably watching this. So one thing I love about this, and one thing I love about the Recelerator program, is that we have people that come in and then they surpass people that have been in the industry for 5, 10, even 15 years, which is crazy. But that just goes to show that knowledge and taking action is where it's at. So with that being said, Isaac, you want to introduce yourself? You know, how old are you? When did you start flipping phones? Let's start there, dude.
Yeah, so my name's Isaac. I'm 21 years old. I've been flipping phones for maybe like 2.5 years now. I did it for probably a year, maybe a little bit longer, but it was on and off. And then after that, I joined Chris's course. I was in it for, I think I joined it like a year and 6 months ago. So yeah, around like 2.5 years. Yeah.
Love it. And so we're gonna kind of just dive in here. So here you go, babe. All good. So we're gonna dive in, and first thing that I want to ask is, so we interviewed you back when you were making about $1,000 a month, and then again once you made like 9,400 in one month. I want to go over the mindset shift that you shared with me. In between that time, like I remember you started listening to a lot of Hormozy, and then you just kind of realized like, hey, there are just these specific things that I need to do on a daily basis. Let's talk about that. Like let's start there, and
Okay.
I'll just let you talk about
Okay, it's been a minute, so I might not remember everything.
it.
No, you got to remember all of it, dude.
So, so just like the mindset shift
Yeah, dude.
from,
Let's talk about the mindset shift.
I don't know. I would say I think the biggest thing I was lacking was consistency. Um, Previous to phone flipping, I've tried like several different side hustles. I tried all of them and like none of them worked out. And I was like, okay, business sucks. I like suck at working or like starting a business. But the reality was I just didn't spend enough time doing it. I wasn't consistent. So I'd say consistency was like one of the biggest things that got me from 1,000 to 94. Um, I'm trying to think.
What do you think you were doing that was like kind of hitting that ceiling versus like what did you start doing that sort of like broke through that
Oh
ceiling
yeah.
and all of a sudden you've got more income?
Yeah, I remember one thing I was super scared to do is run ads because I was like, oh, I'm gonna be spending this amount of money each day, and like if it doesn't work out, I'm just losing money completely. So like letting go of that idea and like actually trusting like spending ads, that was a big breakthrough for me. Yeah.
Right. So making the difference between this is an expense versus this is an investment,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
that's that's major because like one is built on scarcity, the other one is built on like a growth mindset. Like there's two different camps kind of intention there. So like, where do you think you like, closed up one camp and migrated to the other? Like what was that? Was there a light bulb moment or something where you're just like, I need to do this?
I don't really think it was light bulb. I was just I just wanted to keep making money flipping phones, and Chris was suggesting I keep doing ads, so I stuck with it, and then eventually I saw results, and then eventually I was like, okay, this is legit. Like this is how you make more money. And even like in business today, there's stuff like, oh, should I spend $5,000 and start a buyback website? Will that be like an investment or like will it not work? So it's just there's different things to like think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at Chris's suggestion, you just decided to trust the process. I'm just going to take action and do this and see what happens.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Right. So following wise counsel from somebody that has already done it is what got you there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yep.
Right on.
You said something there that Matt actually said that like you took ads basically where it became where in the beginning it was like a cost, right? Like it was costing you money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it changed the mindset because actually, that's a really good way to look at it because I never think of it that way anymore. Most of the time, whenever I spend money on ads, it's an investment into future business. Like that is how I look at it. Like that's just my default at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm buying eyeballs and attention, right? A lot of people in the beginning, I think, just due to like normal everyday money principles that people are accustomed to, they see it as a cost, as a like just a worthless expense if they don't get any immediate gratification out of it, right?
Yeah.
The cool thing about this business is like once you start running ads and once you have the skill set to back it up, and I have to say that because there is a skill set that is necessary that you have to be able to back. Everybody can say they can negotiate, but let's be real, most people suck. Um, I'm just going to be real there. Like most people ask too many questions. Most people just don't have that skill set to back up spending money on the ads. And that's one another reason like we start with reach outs in the Recelerator program now is because of that reason. Because
Mm-hmm.
you got to get used to number one, the word no, right? I mean, how many times do you get told no per day, Isaac?
Too many.
Too many, right?
Yeah.
So, but there's also yeses built in there at the same time.
Yep.
So I really like how you kind of phrase that, Matt, is like ads in the beginning are a cost in the mindset of the people that start. And like they're 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 not even looking for an immediate result. Like all they see is the money leaving their bank account. And that's it. Like an everyday expense.
Yeah.
But once you flip the mindset to, okay, this $1 or this $5 is turning into 25 or 27, think that's where the game changes. Like once you actually see that, and a part of that is probably just tracking. I know Isaac, you started tracking what 6 months ago?
Uh, probably more like a year ago, like
Yeah,
KPI.
yeah.
Yeah, that was really important for me. I really liked the KPI because like even when you're feeling down about your business, like everything's not going the right way, you can just like take a look at the numbers. Like it's just math basically. And like it's like encouraging to look at. And it's also you can tell like what's wrong if anything is wrong when you're trying to
One
grow.
one thing I noticed about the KPIs is like um they relieve a lot of those emotions that you might have. Like,
Hmm.
we have a pretty extensive like budgeting spreadsheet now. And like we can actually me and my wife can just go in and like if I'm emotional, I can just go in and see like, oh, we're actually doing pretty freaking good. And it'll
Yeah.
change the whole emotion, you know? Like, oh, we were underspending this month here and we were underspending there. So we're doing better than I thought, right?
Yeah.
And it definitely it's almost like a switch in the brain where it's like it turns off the weird emotion that you had going on
Yeah.
that something else might have put in.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Like when you started tracking about a year ago, do
Hmm.
you think that's what kind of led to the ads, being more of an investment than a cost?
Yeah. Yeah. Started tracking. Um, I definitely started tracking like around the same time I started ads. Um, and then yeah, after a month, I was like, oh, I made a lot more. I don't know if I was profitable my first month or not, but maybe it was like a month or two. I was like, oh, I definitely made a lot more money than I would have just doing reach outs. Like this is worth it. Yeah. But I love
But
that you're doing reach outs for Recelerator because or like starting out with reach outs because I think it might be a little bit difficult to just jump into ads. Maybe I'm wrong, but
We found
yeah.
that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned doing reach outs on my own, so like I think it's a great place to start, and it's a lot less intimidating. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we
It's a
definitely added that in because we needed people to get the reps in, like especially if they're newer. They need to
hmm
because Hormozy talks about it all the time. You got to put the reps in. The reps got to get in. Like we just had one student I talk about him all the time now is Navon who put in 3,600 reach outs his first month.
that's crazy.
And like the crazy thing is there he built so much experience so fast. And like that was just very confirming to me that that's a good place to start, you know? Like
hmm
because we recommend 20 reach outs a day on average. And if you do that, you're almost guaranteed money as long as you're making 20 offers a day on the reach
Sure.
outs.
Yeah.
Um, but like doing 100 to 120 per day, like that just accelerates the learning process like 5 or 6 times, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's crazy how good you can get in negotiation when you get that many reps in. So we might even be changing that up to 50 minimum per day.
There you go. It's all about the work. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and this, like everything comes down to um, just conversations. Like the more conversations you're having per day, um, the easier things get. It's just putting the work in up front. How many repeats do you have now? Like you're two and a
Dude,
half in this business.
I used to have like four people like bring me a lot of phones maybe even more. I think like five, but they've like all kind of whittled out. So I have two guys and they probably bring me like four or five phones like twice a month maybe. So not as much as I used to, but
So you're finding the pain where it comes to relying on those repeats a little
yep, yep. I
bit.
just upped my ad spend a few days ago, so
Nice.
That's so
yeah.
funny to me with because I get conversations with people all the time, and they're always telling me like, yeah, I got like one or two guys that are just bringing me stuff, and I'm just gonna keep doing that. And I'm like, yeah, until they're gone.
Yep.
Like
You're
that's a
not
real.
wrong.
I've seen it happen so many times at this point. Where it's just like,
Sure.
look, you're gonna have to go back to the old way of ads, reach outs, and stuff
Mhm.
like that because
Yeah.
these guys, I've seen them last up to like 6 months to a year. That's
hmm
about how long they last. So what I really started dialing in and what I really started honing in on teaching is try to make $500 to $1,000 profit per year from just regular, everyday people that are repeats, like just regular customers. If you can do that, it builds a really good base for your
Yeah.
business
Yeah. And if you're in
You
it for
said
the
per
long
year, Chris, or per month?
per year. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
per month, oh yeah, never mind.
No, it's per year. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
500 to
Okay.
$1,000 per repeat customer per year.
Oh, cool. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry, Isaac, you were saying.
Yeah, if you're in it for the long term and you meet all these people, just like families, just like upgrading their phones, like
Yeah.
they'll probably come to you like 3 or 4 years later, like for the rest of their lives, maybe. But yeah,
You're not wrong. Yeah, that's true. I think this is an interesting, like, kind of topic, like within what we're discussing about like learning to pivot, because there are these different spaces that can seemingly like hold your business hostage, depending on uh, what amount of income they're bringing to the table. Like you got Facebook ads, you got Google ads, and then you got repeat customers, right? If those repeats go away and Facebook ads suck, suddenly you're stuck with one outlet that could be, I don't know, if those other two are bringing in the lion's share of your income and then you've only got one thing. I think there's an interesting like mental gymnastics you have to play here as an entrepreneur where it's like, I've if you don't test these waters consistently, like for example, Isaac, if you had not done what you had done and just said, all right, well, let me just run ads, right? Because you can always do reach outs. Like reach outs is another, I think another great reason why we do reach outs is a great base. That's always going to be there, right? I don't think Facebook is going anywhere anytime soon. I'm pretty sure Craigslist has been here since like 1989 or something, right? It's not going anywhere. And OfferUp, merged with Letgo, and so like it's there to stay. So like that's a steady, reliable source of income. But then like as far as like respecting your time and wanting to get more money in exchange for your time, if you don't start running ads, you're actually going to kind of almost be losing money like over time if you don't make that adjustment. And so you made that adjustment. Um, how have you said you accommodated for lesser repeat customers by increasing your ad spend. So it's clear that your brain has somehow caught traction on like, oh, okay, this is how I run my business. This is where I it's kind of like sculpting. Like, let me add a little bit more clay here. Let me add, like, you know what I mean? And kind of like make this thing like look a little bit more complete. As you're sort of like, it's sort of like a constant shaping is kind of what I'm hearing in the language that's being expressed between us today. As I, just try to like really like tune in. Like you have, this is a, nothing's ever finished in entrepreneurship, right? like
Yeah.
like there's always something. Like change is the only constant, so there's always something that you have to like. And I think the same thing is impacting people that wouldn't want to spend money on ads. Like if they're like, oh yeah, well I don't want to spend money on ads, that's an expense. Like they expect also that they can just like be so reliant upon a specific source of income, right? And it's different because if you take a job mentality and try to bring it into this arena, it's gonna break. Like that mentality is gonna break. It's not going to work as you continue to move forward. And I think it's interesting because I think in previous episodes that's like something that we've talked about as well. I think with just other specific guests, Chris and I have obviously talked about a ton of things just one on one. Like, how are you kind of finding how are you kind of finding that like balance, like for yourself specifically? Like how do you kind of manage that balance of like, I feel like I need to do this now, or I feel like I need to do that now? How have you kind of learned to trust that instinct and sort of read the changes in the game and feel like you're staying on the path or even staying ahead of the curve? Like, how are you making those decisions and finding that balance?
Yeah. To be honest, I have no idea. Like even now, it
That's
feels
acceptable. That's cool.
yeah, like even now it feels like I have no idea like what I'm doing. Like I want to try and like find the next step. Like I was really heavily considering starting a buyback website like couple weeks ago. And then I was like switching between like a direct buyer and a buyback website. Um so yeah, I like the path is so unclear. I think like the KPI helps a lot, but like
Mhm.
just like I don't know, just sit down and like think about it
I
and
can give
then
you a little
take
bit.
action. But
So I've run ads to a buyback website like
Mhm.
multiple times, like with the ones that are set up like Gazelle and stuff. Number one thing there is like the conversion rate is incredibly low. Like
Mhm.
the conversion rate you see with what you're doing in your business right now compared to that conversion rate where it's somewhat automated is incredibly low. You will lose if your closing rate is 40%, the closing rate on that will be like five.
Okay.
And I've seen that across the board. And here's why. It's because number one, a lot of those guys take negotiation out of the equation altogether.
Hmm.
And while that sounds nice, you never get to talk to the customer. I mean, you can literally see it on these websites where people hit and then they see the price and then they leave.
Yeah.
Like, like I've seen it time and time again. And I try to tell these guys. There was one guy that I was like, dude, just remove your prices from the website and just have them fill it out. And he was like, okay, conversions went through the roof
Wow.
because now he can actually talk to his customers and get people to sell stuff. Now,
That's
here's a
cool.
way you could do that without a buyback website. You could do the exact same way that you're doing it right now. Go nationwide ads on Facebook, get dirt
Hmm.
cheap leads, get their phone number and call them. Straight up call them.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
And
just be
then
like, what?
show them your reviews, try to build trust and get them to ship you a phone
Yep,
and get paid afterwards.
exactly.
Huh.
Yep.
I think relational equity counts for so much that people underestimate, and especially in this era, because I feel like the art of relatability and being a good conversationalist is becoming a lost thing,
Yes.
right? Like we're outsourcing our thinking to AI, and we're not talking on the phone, we're just texting people. And the capacity to interpret a text, you guys know, you do negotiations, is
Yeah.
like, how do you read emotions into a text? It could be like, that sounds good, that sounds good, or that sounds good. You know what I mean? You just can't,
Yeah.
you can't read how people emote just through basic plain and white text. And so, yeah, relational equity is like, that's the move, bro. That's the move, straight up.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
that's what I would recommend doing if you're going to go that route. But we are looking at moving that into Recelerator as well,
Okay.
because people are asking for it. But I'm a big fan of like if you remove negotiation from the equation, you're going to lose like a massive amount of your business because
Yeah.
there's no more connection with the customer. Um,
mm,
they don't care. You may get a phone mailed in automatically once in a blue moon. That's fine. But look, I mean, Eco ATM could have gone fully online, but they didn't. They opted to just do machines in the
Yeah.
malls, right? Because they knew that people were more likely to go to a physical location. I mean, I do this all the time. So I would rather a lot of the time just go to the place instead of call,
Yeah.
right? I would just
Yeah.
rather go there and get and talk to a real person. And that's just who I am. A lot of it, my wife can tell you, I had to call for our like PCP stuff this morning for healthcare. I
Hmm.
hated it. Like, honestly, in my opinion, it would have been easier to just drive there and talk to somebody. But it takes more work for me, right?
yeah.
But people. Andy Frisella talks about this a lot too. He's like, if you can call and get somebody on the phone immediately, the likelihood that your business is going to be successful goes way up. Like, how many times do you guys call somewhere and you just get automatically put on a holding line? Like, sucks, you know?
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
if you decide to do like a buyback thing, you can have the website. Obviously, use the same website we provide actually, and call people, dude. Same way you're doing it now. Just be like, hey, we pay on delivery. We'll pay you however you want to be paid, and we'll get it taken care of within 24 hours of it landing, and that's how it works. And then you
Gotcha.
can send them your Google My Business as a way. Hey, here's our reviews.
There
That
it
way,
is.
I'm not trying to screw you.
Yeah.
So it works. I've done it.
So,
Do you?
Isaac, sorry, I to kind of like backtrack here for a second. It sounds like right now, like you found consistency, like you started being consistent, and then you consistent, like repeat, like almost kind of like guaranteeable amount of income within a certain range by running ads and your repeat customers, right? So,
Mhm.
would you say those are your two primary sources of how you're, winning bread these days? Is that pretty
Yeah.
much it?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Right. And so you're just kind of playing those tracks as long as they keep producing, which I mean, you got good customer relations, you're a good negotiator, right? You're not a jerk. You're a nice dude. Like that's that's gonna, keep producing for you. And so yeah, I think it's interesting because like, looking at this, like, and I don't want to put you on the spot because there's like not necessarily a like right or wrong answer to what I was asking because it's very like kind of subjective question. But like it's cool just to kind of be able to have people like on this podcast that are like doing incredibly well, but are also you can see them at like various phases. We got Moss Goldstein we had on a couple episodes ago. Moss will surpass 60K sold in just consoles from reach outs alone this year, right?
Crazy.
He should be hitting that mark this month. That's kind of incredible, right? And then we've had some Chris had a millionaire on here who's scaled to like 4 million, 8 million, right? And then we've got situations where you're 21 years old. You've got some good income, like you're really killing it to be 21, but at the same time, like you're also like there's some bridges. You're like, I got to figure this out. I haven't crossed this bridge yet, so when I get there, I'll let you know. And I think
Yeah.
that's like totally cool because we all have those instances and moments, and so yeah. What do you said you're thinking about doing buyback stuff. Is there anything else kind of in your mind of like where you would like to take your business? And the reason I'm asking that question is maybe tying in from something Chris and I had talked about personally, and then also like discussed on a previous episode. But it was like, does any of this feel boring yet, or just like super routine where you're just like, I'm gonna pour water on my face if I have to sit down and have another negotiation with somebody about an iPhone 11. Um,
Yeah, so I personally am in it for the long haul. So like I'm willing to spend the next 5 to 10 years of my life just like the exact same business. I think that's the
Nice.
smartest thing to do
Yeah,
financially.
yeah,
Um, as far as like what path to take, no idea. I really liked the idea of like not having to do meetups, like no negotiation and just processing phones because that's like super easy.
mhm,
Or at least seems easy because that's the easiest part of my job right now. So I was like, okay, direct buyer, you just talk to people, process phones, pretty easy. Buyback website, process phones, pretty easy. Um, but I I don't think I'm there yet, so I right now I'm just gonna focus like just on local
yeah,
for the next couple months and just like revisit those topics, but probably just do super local and like see where that takes me, I would say.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your focus now is what I'm hearing is just to build a more robust presence within your respective geographical region or location, your city.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Cool. Right. Yeah. If it's working, work it, right?
Yeah. I don't know where it will take me or if it's the right step or not, but that's what I'm doing. So yeah.
Love it. So I wanna ask this because Hormozy talks about it all the time. He says talk about or look at certain things almost like a video game, right? And he talks about how he used to play the same level over and over and over and over again, just to keep getting the experience points, and just that way the next thing you get to, you just knock it out of the park, right? And
Mhm.
then you just do it again and again and again and again. The way you can just get so good at it, it's so monotonous that you can basically just negotiate with somebody in your sleep at that point,
Mhm.
right?
Hmm.
And I think Anthony talked a little bit about this too. Anthony's been flipping for 10 plus years, makes well over 100K a year easily. And he was talking about these. He's like, dude, I can close people in my sleep, like with no issue. And so he's in that, right, where he's just beating the same level over and over again. And I think that's where you are. You're beating the same boss over and over and over again.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And eventually you'll just be able to take it to the next step with all the skill sets that you have and just the ease that it comes with. And you'll be able to apply the same stuff and it'll be easy. And I think taking the approach of 5 to 10 years is a really good idea. Because number one, I mean, this is a business that can't die. Everybody needs phones, everybody needs electronics.
Hmm.
So it'll be around. Like it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. And that's why I've come back to it many times. Because like you go off in these like tangent opportunities and you realize very quickly like, oh wow, the dropshipping thing didn't work. Like it worked, but it worked for 6 months, right? And then you go to this other thing, and then you go to this other thing, and then they only work for a certain amount of time. That's why I haven't really, fed into the jumping fully into AI either. It's like,
Hmm.
you don't know, right?
Mhm.
Um, but with reselling, I know. Like I know that like if I generate leads and conversations, make offers, negotiate, and sell the stuff online, I'm gonna make money. Like that's just how it works. So I think there's a book that I read. I think it's The Magic of Thinking Big. Where it talks about just doing the same things over and over again. You know, when it's easy, just keep doing it. Like, and then find a hobby. you know,
That's that's good. Yeah.
like if you're excited, but like you're excited for more, but you're also making good money at the same time. Like, and it's building by itself. I've seen a lot of people blow themselves up trying to expand too quickly, and then
Hmm.
like they constrict. We've done this. I've done this many times. So, I think taking that road of just slow growth but consistent. As long, and you're making on average 7 8K a month in profit,
Hmm.
dude. you start throwing that into like retirement accounts, you start throwing that into like other things, like dude, it's like
Yes, sir.
10 years, millionaire easily, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so
Right. Yeah. So is that the next goal, Isaac? Million by 30, millionaire by 30?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's interesting. Like my brain is definitely not wired that way. Like
Yeah.
if I'm like super mundane and like everything's easy, I I tend to think, okay, something's wrong. Like I
yeah,
need I'm ready for the next step. Like everything's
I think
easy.
that's a really, really good point. I think most people find that we're programmed to be like, bro, you gotta freaking work your tail off. You gotta just bust your, you know, I mean, just kill yourself to get, and then you'll eventually get there. And then it's like, but then like when you start making like, okay, you broke the ceiling of what your best month was what, 22? Did you do 22K in 1 month about?
I did 20K gross in January, 15 net.
Okay. So decent, you know. I'm playing.
decent,
No,
well
that's
above the normal American.
right. That's incredible. Like you made I talked about this previously, but like I my first year teaching with a master's degree in the school I was in was I was making $32,500 for the year. And the principal had the wherewithal to look at me. He goes, "And you're actually one of the higher paid like teachers like within our school." And I was
That's crazy.
like I melted onto the floor. They came and collected me later on that day, but it was awful. But yeah, so like when you kind of push through that paper ceiling and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, that is iconic. Like that moment is remarkable, or at least it should be, because how did it, can you talk about how it felt? Like how did it strike you when that happened? And then like the next day or the next month and you're just kind of doing the same stuff. Like how did that change what you were focusing on and how you like applied your effort and energy to what you were doing?
Yeah, when I like made that much money, I felt like I was on top of the world. I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
was insane to me. I was like, okay, a year ago I was struggling to pay rent. Now I'm like, I'm
Wow.
killing it. This is the best thing ever. But then super quickly, it becomes like the new normal, I feel like.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, I made this much. Great. How can I keep making this much, or like how can I make more?
Uh-huh.
Um, like humans are never satisfied. We always want the next step. We always want more.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, it felt like normal, like pretty fast afterwards.
Like a few days later?
Uh, Probably like I would say maybe like a
Okay.
month. Yeah, and I was
Okay.
like, okay, how can I, how can I keep making this much, or how can I make more now? But yeah, initially it was like super, like it was like I was like it like super amazed at myself, like how the heck did I do this?
So there's an interesting thing there, and I've gone through this a couple of times now, even today. Like when it becomes a normal, like really fast, right?
Hmm.
That's an important time to where you need to look at the data, like
Yeah.
look like your past months and realize that that was not normal.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
um, we did the so last year we had an amazing month across all boards, reselling, recelerator, resell deck, all of it. Like where we made like 50K. And like I hit that where it was like, okay, this is normal now, you know? And then next month it did
Yeah.
not. So like so I've gone through that a couple of times where you just start realizing like, oh wow, okay, I did really good this month. And I've started adopting it. Like Andy Frisella talks about it a lot. He's like, all right, you can celebrate for 24 hours and then it's back to work. Like that's it. 24 hours, back to work.
There you
Same
go.
every day. Like if you because what a lot of people do is they'll celebrate for a couple of days and then they'll get into and then they got to get the momentum back up, right?
Mhm.
And that's a real thing, especially in the reselling game. Like when you're not in momentum, you feel it. Like
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
closing any deals. You're not. things just aren't happening how they're supposed to. Then it's almost like you got to get back in the momentum where you just start closing people and then they just boom, 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 all in a row, right?
Yeah.
But when you're not in momentum, it's like trying to roll a boulder back up the hill. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And it's super demotivating making like so much money in one month and then the next month you make like half of that. I'm
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's where most people quit. They're like, okay,
Yeah. They can't
this
handle
business
the
is
roller
hard
coaster.
again. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's like a it's like a what would you call that? Like an endorphin hangover, a dopamine hangover almost.
Yeah.
You peaked here, you crashed, and I think that's why you have to keep it in perspective. And for those that are watching this, and of course you guys, we've all kind of seen that little like kind of meme chart of like people expect success to be up and to the right, and it really looks like
Yeah.
it's going all over the place. Yeah.
yeah.
I always kind of go back to like past me. I'm like, okay, Matt, like let's put it in perspective of like 6 months ago, a year ago, you were doing XYZ, right? So even if you didn't like you shot for the stars, but you hit the moon this month, right? You'll have those home runs. That's why it's like the thing that keeps me grounded is like, dude, I'm just gonna go for base hits. Did I get a base hit today? Great. Okay, I might get a grand slam. I mean, you had a grand slam kind of month, right? For that to think that I think first of all, the amount of like energy and bandwidth that you have to invest to kill it that hard, like you ramp up for those seasons, but you also have to ramp back down, right? And then you can kind of like move up a little bit and then like sort of like keep edging up, but then it's like it's more like refining to kind of find where is that everybody has an optimal sort of like mode of operation, right? Like we can't all just like keep going up
Nope.
all the time without the additional help of people, without outsourcing stuff. Like you're going to tap out time, energy, focus. One of those three things is going to be depleted, if not all three, like if it's just continually like relying up to you. And so it's like, it's clear, I think, at this point that like what's going to continue to make you more money? Well, it's going to be scaling. Like right now, it sounds like Isaac's still learning the fundamentals of not the lower phase, but this new phase, right? And it's like, this has a optimal mode of operation. All right, let me level out here. That might take me 6 months. Right. And I think this is why it's like it's healthy to put this in perspective. Like you said, you want to spend the next 5 to 10 years building out this business. I think that's really reasonable because how else are you going to just keep marching up those steps? Right. And I think the very
Mhm.
previous episode we said like your business it grows with you. It doesn't just like
Yeah.
boom and you're suddenly just shooting to like $1 million. No, you also became the type of person that could mentally like had the capacity to understand what's involved in making $1 million if you have that's how much revenue a business does in a month. And so it's like what's really dope, dude, is like it this business is like growing with you. It's kind of like a child.
Good way to look at it. So my mentors in clients and community, shout out to them. They termed it as growing months and scaling months.
Hmm.
Right? They would have
Mhm.
like phases of like 2 months where they were growing, where with the growth, it was like investing in the team, investing in themselves, investing in systems and processes. And then the next month they would scale it. Like and then it was like another level that they hit, right? Where some systems would break and then they had to start growing again and fixing things and switching personnel and things like that. And then it was just a constant like thing of that where it was like up and down, up and down, up and down, and but it was just like this gradual up at the same time. So I think a lot of people don't realize that. And lucky me, I got to hang out with their team a lot, so I got to see a lot of that and how that growth was, right? And it's cool, right? Growing months, scaling months, this is how it is. Because you can't do a scaling month forever. It just
Yeah.
doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I've
Yeah.
noticed is if you're scaling, you're probably not making as much money, but you're learning and you're like kind of growing. If
Yep.
you're But you also need like money to scale. So like some months you gotta be a cash cow, you can't grow, take that money, and then the next it's like scaling. Okay, I use this money, make less money this month because we're scaling. But yeah. I agree with that.
Matt, you muted yourself.
My daughter's talking to me. Excuse me,
Oh yeah, yeah, you're
chat.
fine. Um, so Isaac, let's talk about you getting scammed, bro.
Yeah.
What can the audience learn here?
Um, I would say, okay, open every box that you get. But now that I have been scammed, I think I'm not going to follow my own advice because I know what to look out for, but maybe that's dumb and maybe I'll get scammed again. But I don't know. I bought plenty and plenty of sealed phones in the past. I never had an issue. And then this guy comes along, he sells me five sealed 15 Pro Maxes in an Apple bag with a 15 plus open box. So I checked out the 15 plus, 15 plus was real. And then I was just looked up the IMEIs on the Pro Maxes and the weight was right. Like everything felt good. The IMEIs checked out. The boxers were real. You can like shine the UV light on the, yeah. So everything was good. Um, and then I go to sell it to one of my local buyers. He pays better than some direct buyers. And he was like, yeah, the same dude sold me the same amount of phones the same way. And he was like, shoot. So we opened one of the boxes and it was just door hinges. But one of the differences I could tell is like when you shake it, some of the boxes made a little bit of sound. And then also there's like a hollow spot like where the camera is. But yeah, open every box, don't lose $4,500 like I did.
We all learn the hard way. So Aaron almost got scammed yesterday. I was talking to him before right as the negotiation call was kicking off, and and I'm glad he actually told the story during the call so people know what to look out for.
Hmm.
But he had actually handed the money over to the person like in exchange and got the phone at the same time, right? It was like
Hmm.
a hand like that. And as he was going over and looking over the phone, he realized pretty quickly as he was resetting it that an Android symbol popped up, so it was a fake iPhone.
Uh,
And so
Must have been a good fake.
it was, yeah, for Aaron, yeah, yeah, it was good
Psh,
for
that's
him to
crazy.
get like almost gypped. So here's how he did it, though. Here's how he got his money back. This was genius, by the way. This just goes to show his negotiation skills. So he's looking at it. It's a fake. So he just keeps the conversation like, and he's like, "Hey man, I think I gave you the wrong amount of cash. Can I just double check real quick?" And the guy hands him back the cash.
That's crazy.
Recheck. So line of intent, right? He hands him back cash, and Aaron just hands him back the phone. He's like, "Yeah, that's a fake phone, bro." Like,
That's crazy.
so the guy just gets up and leaves.
I love
Like,
Aaron.
and the guy had already put the money in his pocket. He'd already done like everything, and Aaron was sitting there with a fake phone, just kept the conversation going like a normal human. It's like, oh man, I think I gave you the wrong amount of cash. Can I just double check real fast? Guy hands him back the whole I think it was like $700,
That's
and
so, that's smart.
and it was wild. Like I was like, I'm remembering that. Like that was good. So yeah, be aware, like guys, just open the box, reset the phones, bill of sale. Like
Hmm.
I recommend the bill of sale simply because that number one, if you tell people you require that before the freaking meetup, the likelihood that they sell to you is very low.
So true.
Like
Yeah.
So true.
they don't want to get reported to the police, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so so I want to pivot here a little bit outside of the phone flipping. Isaac, who do you follow, man? Like you're 21 years old. You are obviously doing better than most Americans in the same situations. You're not in college. You're like just doing your thing. Who do you listen to? Who do you follow? Where do you learn from? Like, let's go there.
Yeah. I would say um a big part of my life is my faith. So I'm Christian. That plays a big role in my life.
Right on.
As far as business advice goes, I love to watch Alex Hormozy's stuff. I'll listen I'll listen to a few like niche business YouTubers. And then I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Like I follow you guys. I followed other phone flippers on like Facebook and stuff. I think I just try to learn like where I can. And sometimes it applies to me like phone flipping people. Like I can take that advice and apply it directly to my business. Other people like who run other businesses or like Alex Hormozy, I kind of have to think about it a little bit more if I want to apply it. But yeah, I would say I'm a big Hormozy fan. Yeah.
Yeah. I know whenever you started listening, I remember you actually sharing in our Slack channel um, one of his video. I think his highest ranked video now, like viewed video,
Okay.
was like I can't remember what it is. Um, it was something like you'll make more money watching this video than anything on the internet or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Man, I go back to that one all the time. Like I made my own class based on that video. Like it's so good. The the line thing that he does, the Valley of Despair
Yeah.
uh chart. The dude, I can like now like through that like filter, I can see where our phone flippers are. Like where they're coming up, right? They're excited. They got the first couple of deals, you know.
Mhm.
Then they get to like the Valley of Despair where they're not able to close anybody, and they
Yeah.
think about giving up, you know. And then you just got to like push them through that area. Like you got to get back in the curriculum, attend the calls, do the things, you know.
Hmm.
And and then they get up there and they start making money. So and
Mhm.
I love that because I think you went through that phase too, the Valley of Despair phase, where I think it was you were around $1,000 a month. You were really like you're like, is this thing gonna work? You know? And
Hmm.
nothing really works until we see it work, right? Like through our own eyes. Like we can see other people having success all the time. But, you know, Matt, you termed this phrase, the invisible ceilings thing.
Uh-huh.
Like, like we look at these other people like on YouTube or whatever, and we're like, yeah, he can do it, but he's him and I'm me, and we're different, right? But we're really not, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we went from 1,000 to almost $10,000 a month in profit, and in like a span of 6 months, and it was like so like, and you were like incognito at the same time, like I didn't even know what was happening until you just like came out and like you were like, hey, dude, I made like this amount of money. I was like, what? Like it's so crazy because that happens a lot actually. Like with people in Recelerator, they're just incognito. I think I think it was Bill a little while back. You had a call with him, Matt, and we had no idea where he was. And next thing we know, he's just like crushing. Like it's so crazy to me. But I also love that because it shows me that you guys put the blinders on. Like that shows the blinders are on. You're not getting distracted, and you're just
Mhm.
focusing on the day to day things that are necessary to grow you in the business. And I love that. So
Yeah. I think you have to be aware. And I think Isaac knows this, Chris knows this. I've definitely lived this out, but I'm, sharing this because it's right here at the surface of this present conversation is that there are seasons of intense, like really dialed focus that you just have to like you have to put in that work to level up your mindset, to like literally scale your business and like move it to that next phase before you can kind of take your hands off and say, okay, like let me kind of rest in this pocket for a moment, celebrate the win, and then I'm going to like re-up and go again. And I think most people I think if most people realize like if I can just put in this initial level of inertia to just move the needle to that next level, and if all I got to do is just kind of repeat that, like that sense of discipline is where the money becomes like the byproduct of what you've done like consistently. Because I know this is true for Chris. I'm kind of feeling that maybe this is true for you, Isaac, but you seem more like process driven than like results driven. Um, you're really just kind of like you tell us, is that true? Or are you kind of more like goals and then like, all right, let me figure out, let me go put in the work today.
I would say I don't know. I'm like I would say I'm more goal driven, but I don't know, maybe I'm not. but yeah, like the numbers is like the biggest thing to me. And
Gotcha.
then obviously like it takes work to get there. So
Right. So you're looking at those numbers going, okay, this is what I need to achieve. Let me input XYZ amount of energy and effort to get this specific result. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, that's the goal. Just try to get
Okay.
that result. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a little
And
different.
yeah. So I'm I'm not going to say I'm the exact opposite, but like results can pull you. They can pull you to like, but there's two different things happening. There's a pull and there's a push, I think, level of like how people like look at this. Like the results or the goals can kind of pull you towards the target, or the process can push you towards the target. Like for me, um, like I know the numbers I need to hit as far as like, flipping consoles. I know like typically how many people I need to talk to as far as like, all right, to score this number of deals. And I also know like the thing I'm really dialed in on my business is ROI. Like I run my business based more off ROI like than anything. Because if I keep doing that, if I just focus on that percentage, if I focus on the process of getting the right ROI, then my money's going to compound. It can't not happen. It's
Yeah.
going to happen, right? In the same way, like if you're doing ad spend and you go, oh, okay, that we did this much this month, and oh, look, for every $5 we spent, we brought in $25. Like that, like once you find out like what that level is, it's like, okay, cool, that's our new normal. Like we do this, it's going to happen, right? And so, for me, yeah, I'm always just looking to put in like that kind of base amount of effort, because I know if I put the base amount of effort, then like I don't really think about the money as much. Like I'm just like it'll be there. It's fine. Like, and we're just gonna kind of keep this thing growing and cruising. Um
Hmm.
so I'm curious as well then, Isaac, like what would be just like a little like takeaway or piece of advice that you would offer to somebody who, I don't know, feels like very new to this scene, but seems to have like the willingness and grit to step into the flipping space? Like, what would be your encouragement to somebody who's um, pretty new to the game and they're wanting
Yeah.
they're wanting to make it, you know?
Yeah. I would tell them that like number one, it's not a get rich quick scheme. Like it's not going to be an easy process. Like it's going to be a little bit hard. It's going to take some work.
Mhm.
And then also that they got to commit like a certain amount of time to it, not to scare them away, but just like realize, okay, any business that you go into, like it takes consistency and time. Like persistence is like I think the biggest key to success. So if you're looking to get started, like just, I mean, whatever business you do, I think phone flipping is great. But you like just do it for like commit like a year to it, basically. Yeah.
One thing I love
Oh,
about this business
nice.
is like the longer you do it, the better it gets, right?
Hmm.
Aaron talked about that a lot. He's like, um, just the longer you do it, the more you do it, the better it gets. And that's so true because everything compounds because we're dealing with humans and humans, they're very repetitive, right? We're all repetitive. One thing I found is um like a person upgrades their phone about every 6 months on average. Like that's just what we usually see, the average anyway.
Hmm.
So, we see people come back pretty often. Um, Now the cool thing about that is like, and I talk about this a lot, is if you upsell them, you become more valuable to the customer by letting them know that you buy more than phones.
Hmm.
So what I've seen that do now is make that person come to you about every 3 months, which is huge, right? And then like imagine having like 100 of those people
Yeah.
over the course of time.
That's
Like
wild.
that's like if you get a hundred people, $80 profit per device every time they sell to you, and they're doing that 4 times a year, that's $500 to $1,000 per client, right? And like say you've been doing this for 5 years and you got 100 of those people that are just like raving fans for you too, and they're referring
Mhm.
you business. Dude, that's 100K your business that
Mhm.
Hmm.
like just over time you've built, and it just pays you at that point. And at that point, it's pretty easy to hire at that point when you got just like almost like a recurring revenue coming in. So
Yeah.
that's the thing I love about this business is because it's not get rich quick. Even though some people want it to be. Um,
Mhm.
You can make a lot of money really fast. You just got to put in the effort. Like that's really what it is. And
100%.
the consistency. And the great thing about this business too is you learn so many skill sets that if you do want to jump into another business like digital marketing or like things like that, dude, the stepping stone it gives you is insane. Like I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The skills that phone flipping taught me to jump into like the digital marketing space and then eventually like the coaching space, all of it stemmed from those same skill sets, which is wild.
Mhm.
Learning how to talk to people, learning how to negotiate, learning how to run ads, right? Like it's amazing the skill sets you can learn from this small business.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what have you learned? Like, what's the biggest thing you've learned, Isaac, from this business specifically?
Dude, I am way better at negotiating. Even like texting friends, like I feel like I'm better at like just texting. And then like ads, like I had no idea how ads worked, and like now it's a skill I have for like the rest of my life. Like it's super comforting knowing like, okay, I have these skill sets. Like no matter what happens in my life, I can still make like X amount of money because this is what I know. So
Yeah, dude.
That's
Like
that's so cool.
and Hormozy talks about it, so I'm sure you recognize it now. Skills are the only thing that you can't lose, can't be taken into divorce,
mhm,
and can't be taxed, right? Like, so they are the most valuable thing to you because if
mhm.
you invest in the S&P 500 versus the S&P 500, you'll compound your skills over and over and over and over again. So, yeah, dude. I mean, I love it. Um, let's see here. Well, we're coming about to the end of this one. Is there anything you'd like to add, Isaac, to like just the end of the podcast that you think other people might need to hear that are in your situation? You've surpassed a lot of people that have been in the space for 15 years. Like that's true, right? I had a guy reach out the other day, 15 years in the industry, only making like 4 grand in profit a month
Hmm.
after 15 years. Like what would you say to the people that are just getting started or people that are like on the fence about like taking this business seriously?
I would say just go for it. Like, yeah, like I said earlier, it's gonna be work and like you just gotta commit time. And I don't say that to scare you away. I say that to just like prepare you for the hard times, I guess. Because like every business is gonna have hard times. So you just gotta commit to it. Yeah. One of my fears is like being a small business owner for like the rest of my life for like 30 years. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Just keep learning and growing, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to lose whenever you start to keep learning.
Yeah, that's true.
The application
Yeah.
comes, and no matter what, if you learn, well, I say that it's not 100% true. All right, well, Matt, you got anything else, dude?
No, Isaac, hey, respect, man. It's been great having you on. I think it's massively encouraging to have somebody in the age of like college age range where it's like, I mean, you're not in school, are you?
No, I did 1 year and then I couldn't afford it, so I dropped out, but I'm super happy I dropped out. So
You could afford it now.
yeah, I'm paying off the student loans right now. It kind of sucks.
Okay.
Oh man,
Yeah.
paying off that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. You're paying off student loans without a degree with a business that you didn't need a degree for. That's
Yeah.
how poetic, right?
Yeah.
I think that is such an educational moment to conclude this podcast, this specific episode on, to just say like, you can invest in yourself in a lot of different ways. Your path doesn't look like everybody else's, and that's okay because a lot of entrepreneurship is looking for a space that seems like there might be some opportunity and taking a calculated risk. I'm going to emphasize that word again, calculated risk, guys. None of us are out here just like, you know, plunging into the dark, probing the darkness, like seeing like um, I think, the decision that Isaac has made is guided, it's calculated and healthy. and he had people to help him along the way. Um, I guess if anybody else is watching this and you're looking for, the elevator ride up, you can do that a lot of ways. You can do that traditional path through school. You can do that through YouTube. You can do that through courses just like this one. But if anybody's game to learn, uh, we'd be happy to help get you there. Isaac, you've been an incredible student, dude. You've, and Chris, I know Chris would echo the exact same, because I think we're pretty similarly minded on certain things, but like, the course was there for you, but you still need to be committed because you're the one who, in fact, did the work. And we really can't say that about everybody that chooses to pay for this course, or decides to, you know, that wants a mentorship. It's just always amazes me of how many people want to, get in the game, but then not do the work to carry them through the to learn the game, right? And succeed at it. And man, so hats off to you for your success, for your diligence, and also just resilience, because that is I think grit, I think the qualities you bring to the table is what's made you a healthy entrepreneur. All you needed was the right recipe and formula to plug in, and you've done that, dude. So good
Thank
stuff.
you. Thank you. Yeah.
Go. All right, guys. This has been another episode of the Smart Flip. See you guys next week. Later.